Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Perfectionism Project, a podcast full of perfectionism advice for entrepreneurs. My name is Sam Laura Brown. I help entrepreneurs release their perfectionism handbrake so they can get out of their own way and build a fulfilling and profitable business. I'm the founder of the Perfectionists Getting Sh group coaching program, which is otherwise known as PGSD. And for even more perfectionism advice to help you with your business, you can follow me on Instagram at Perfectionism Project. You are going to love this. I just know this is going to be perfect timing that I am releasing these episodes today. So, what I am doing is I'm releasing the 5 most popular episodes of this podcast, which is the planning series on how to plan properly as a perfectionist. Whether you have listened before, whether this is going to be your first time listening, if you have been getting in your own way in your business, if you've been having a hard time showing up, if you know that you could be more successful, if you could just actually follow through with the plans that you make, you know what to do, you're just not doing it. This series is just going to be the best thing for you. So I want to invite you to listen to all 5 parts of this series. They are going to be profoundly helpful. And I also want to invite you to join us inside my program, Perfectionists Getting Sh. So we are actually in the last enrollment of this year. So doors will be closing at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, the 21st of November. So that's only a few days away. And I want to invite you inside because, first of all, there's obviously never a better time to get out of your own way than the present. There is just being able to create the compound effect and like be in that momentum before the year's even over. I know we love to wait till January and all of that, but what if instead of waiting for January to start getting out of your own way, you were out of your own way and on that path by January, so that come January, you're not starting from a standstill. That's what I want to invite you into. In December, we also do an annual reflection as a community, the year in review, and we do planning for the following year. So I want to invite you to be there for that, whether it's being there live with us, doing the replay, no matter your time zone. Doing that is going to set you up for the best 2026. And also, when you sign up for Perfectionist Getting Sh, you will get instant access to everything, including the power planning course, which you can watch start to finish in an afternoon and then be planning properly as a perfectionist, along with the support and the incredible community and other tools that are there for you inside PGSD as well. So I hope you enjoy this series, and I want to invite you to join us inside PGSD before the doors close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday, the 21st of November. You can go to samlaurabrown.com/PGSD. The link will be down there for you in the show notes to go and sign up today and join us inside. Okay, so this is the 5th and final part of my planning series here on the podcast to help you plan properly as a perfectionist. And I'm going to be sharing the complete process to get out of your own way. This is the PGSD process. It's broken down into planning, productivity, and persistence. Those are 3 areas that you need to work on in order to get out of your own way, to show up fully, to do the things that you know you need to do when it comes to your business. And it actually covers everything that I had planned to talk about in this episode. So, what I want to do is share that Instagram live recording here with you on the podcast. And if you've already listened to it before, I highly recommend listening again. Anytime you listen to something again, whether it's this or something else, you're going to hear things you didn't hear the first time. You're going to get new layers of understanding and awareness. So I highly recommend listening to that again. If you haven't listened to it before, listen to it now for the first time. And I wanted to do this as well, just as an example of not having to create everything from scratch. I know that so often, and I've definitely had the habit of doing this earlier in my business, that we think everything needs to be new and original, and we can't share something that someone might have already heard before. We can't repurpose things. And so often that is us getting in our own way and thinking that how we're perceived matters more than the experience on the other end that the person we're helping is going to have. That there are so many people who haven't watched that Instagram live, who listen to this podcast, who will be hearing this for the first time. And that by me re-recording exactly the same points again, just so it's new and it's something that people haven't heard before. That is me creating unnecessary work for myself, but it's also me not really capitalizing on the work that I have put in. And I say that because there are places in your business where you are not actually taking advantage of the work that you've put into your business. You are creating things from scratch. You're wanting everything to be original and for every Instagram post to be the first time you've ever posted that, when really you can go back and repost a post that you posted a year ago and the caption and everything the same. And it's going to help so many people when we have this expectation in ourselves that everything needs to be new all the time. We keep ourselves on this hamster wheel. And I think like a lot of us like that feeling because we feel like, well, if I'm working hard, then I'll succeed. And it feels so uncomfortable for things to be easy. And I always talk about that question of what would this look like if it was easy? And sharing the Instagram live with you is my answer to that for this episode. And I know it's going to be so helpful. And what I'm going to do is at the end of this episode, I'm going to be telling you more about PGSD, what signing up looks like, what you're going to get when you join us, and all of that kind of thing. So if you have been thinking about joining us, now is the time to really have tools and support that are going to help you get out of your own way and are really going to help you apply all the things you already know about business and also the things you've learned about perfectionism on this podcast. Inside PGSD, we talk about a lot of the same things that I talk about here on the podcast. That is by design because we are taking that work deeper and actually applying it and living it and doing that messy, uncomfortable personal development work that we often love to avoid just by listening to podcasts and feeling like we're learning things and not actually applying it. So I really want to help you get out of your own way. I really want to help you get into that growth mindset. And PGSD is really how I do that. So I'm going to be telling you more about that. You will see the sign up now button on that page and you can join us. As I said, it is only open for a limited time, but I invite you to join us and really commit to doing this work on your perfectionism, on planning properly I can't speak, as planning properly as a perfectionist so that you can really get out of your own way. And it just lights me up to think about the work we do in PGSD, how many businesses are now succeeding because they're a part of PGSD and the impact that's having on those businesses, customers, and clients, and the ripple effect that PGSD is having on the world. And I'd love you to be a part of that ripple effect. So without further ado, here is the Instagram live that I did on how to follow through with your plans, going over the full PGSD process and what's involved. And then I will be back at the end to tell you about PGSD, what you get when you join, what that's going to look like, how that all works. Welcome to today's Instagram live. This is the second episode in my Get Out of Your Own Way series. And we are going to be talking about follow through today. I put a poll on Insta stories early in the week and you wanted to hear about follow through, and I've actually gotten quite a lot of follow through questions. So what I am going to do is next week, I am going to do a Q&A on follow through so that I can answer those properly because I'm really wanting to keep these lives to being 20 minutes long at the most. And that takes a lot of constraint for me to do that because I just want to chat about this kind of stuff all day. So I am going to be going over a few things today that are going to help you with follow through. If you don't know what I really help people do, it is helping perfectionists who are building businesses to make plans and follow through with them. My people are smart people who know what they need to do. They're just not able to get themselves to do it. And it's not because there's something wrong with them. It's not because they're not intelligent. It's just because they have been following planning advice and productivity advice that doesn't actually work for a perfectionist. And this has a huge impact on your business when you are taking marketing courses and learning all the things, but you're not able to implement it because you haven't learned how to plan and follow through as a perfectionist. So I'm very passionate about this topic. And what I thought I would do today is actually just chat a little bit about my 3-step process for following through, for being consistent, for getting out of your own way. It's called the PGSD process. It's what I teach inside PGSD, but I just want to give you an overview of it so that you know what elements you need to be working on if you are struggling to follow through with the plans that you make and you're struggling to get yourself to do all the things that you know you need to do. So if you are here live, please say hello in the chat and ask any questions you have as well, if you have any. So there are 3 parts to the PGSD process. It is planning, productivity, and persistence. So first, you need to learn to plan properly as a perfectionist. Then you need to learn how to be productive as a perfectionist. And then you need to learn how to persist. So each of those is broken down into 3 things. So I will go through each of them. Hey, Emma. Hello. So I'll go through each of them so that you really get an idea of what you need to be focusing on. Because I know when it comes to productivity and personal development, that there's a lot to do, there's a lot to work on, especially with productivity. It can be really easy to get focused on hacks and tips and tricks instead of doing the underlying things you need to do to be able to effectively implement those hacks and tips and tricks. So, I want to start by talking about planning. You need to learn how to plan properly as a perfectionist. And that really comes down to 3 things. So, first of all, there is setting a goal that you can't achieve if you stay in your perfectionist mindset with the handbrake on. So, when it comes to perfectionism, I talk about it being like a handbrake, and there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. We just need to be mindful of when you are turning your perfectionist handbrake on. And a lot of times, we're not even doing that. It's the advice we're following that is making those perfectionist tendencies become a problem. So, what happens is when we set small goals, realistic goals, we can achieve them by doing it in our perfectionist way. And while that might give us some level of accomplishment, we're not actually able to achieve mind blowing results. And we're kind of reinforcing those perfectionist tendencies, like leaving things until the last minute or not really going all in because we think, oh, well, I achieved my goal. So it must have been that the way I approached that goal was the best way to do it. But what we do in PGSD is we create an impossible goal. This isn't actually a goal that's impossible. It's just a goal that your brain believes is impossible. And by setting a goal that is just a little bit beyond what you are currently capable of achieving, it really asks and requires you to grow into that goal. And it's also a goal that you're not going to be able to achieve unless you release that perfectionism handbrake a little bit. So the first part of getting out of your own way and following through is having a goal that really supports you and the work that you're doing. The second part of planning is learning how to plan as a perfectionist and how to make plans that will help you to achieve that goal. So in PGSD, I teach a method called power planning. And it takes 1 hour a week. You have your power hour, which is a 1 hour planning session, and you plan your to-do list in your calendar in a particular way that will get you out of the all or nothing mindset. It'll get you out of overwhelm. It'll help you notice procrastination, all those different perfectionist tendencies. So I talk about there being 5 signs that you are a perfectionist and that your perfectionism handbrake is on. And those signs are overwhelm, procrastination, burnout, all or nothing thinking, and fear of judgment, which includes people pleasing. So you need to learn how to actually plan in a way that's going to get your perfectionist mindset on your side and not having it work against you so that you can do the work you need to do to get into the growth mindset. That is what we're working towards, to be in that growth mindset. I'm not going to go into the growth mindset in this one, but I just want to make a little note if you haven't had me talk about the growth mindset before, that just because you love reading and you love personal development and you love learning, it doesn't mean you have or you're in a growth mindset. You will be in that mindset in some areas in your life, but for a lot of perfectionists, when it comes to business, we are not in that growth mindset because it feels so connected to our self-worth. It feels very vulnerable. It feels like if we don't succeed in business, that's a reflection of our intelligence. And because we were praised for being intelligent when we were growing up, that stings. So we do all sorts of things like procrastinate and stay in overwhelm so that we don't go all in on the business, so that if the business fails, it doesn't feel as painful. So I'm not going to go into that in this one, but that's just something to be mindful of. So you need to learn to plan properly. And a lot of follow through problems are actually planning problems in disguise. So if you are relying on motivation to follow through with your plans and willpower, if you are in a constant state of overwhelm, you never feel like you have enough time, and then when you do have enough time, you waste it because you don't know where to start, then it is very likely you just have a planning problem. And that problem is easily solved. So power planning is a method I teach, and you need to follow that method for 3 months or more to really start seeing the benefits of that. It's not this method that you'll just learn and then overnight you'll be instantly productive and out of your own way. It is a process. And that's why PGSC is really for people who are into personal development, who are really interested in doing the real work and not just quick fixes and hacks that don't actually work. So power planning is a way to plan as a perfectionist so that it's so easy to follow through. It's so easy to get out of your own way. So when we talk about follow through, we really have to talk about planning, because if you are trying to follow through on plans that aren't the proper plans that you need to have as a perfectionist, then it's going to just end up not working. You're not going to be able to follow through, even if we just spent all this time talking about follow through, because you need the proper plans in place. Then part of planning as well is clean rest. I have done a recent podcast episode on this, 5 important reminders about clean rest. I'm pretty sure it was called. But clean rest is resting without guilt. This is a really important part of the equation. Perfectionists often, this whole cycle. So we feel guilty when we rest. And so we don't have a lot of rest. And because we're not resting, then when it comes time to be productive, like when we're trying to do stuff in the business, we're not focused, we're overwhelmed because there's so much to do. We're not really clear about when work starts and when it ends. We feel like because you can work on your businesses at any time of day that we should be. And so it's this whole thing that, like, because we're not being as productive as possible, then we rest less. And because we're resting less, then we're not productive. And then we want to rest less. And it's this whole thing. So you need to have clean rest in your calendar. So that is the planning side of things, that you need to be setting yourself a goal that actually requires something of you and that really calls for you to get out of your own way in order to achieve. Otherwise, you're just reinforcing the perfectionist habits that are holding you back. You need to learn how to plan as a perfectionist. And as part of that, you need to put clean rest in your calendar. If you're having a follow through problem, look at those 3 things. Then the second part of the PGSD process is looking at productivity. And once you have proper plans in place, really you just have to focus on the things that are stopping you from being productive rather than actually trying to be productive, if that makes sense. So the 3 things you need to be focused on once you've got the proper plans in place is getting out of overwhelm, stopping procrastination, and not getting burned out. Overwhelm, procrastination, and burnout are 3 things that perfectionists are super familiar with, but you don't always have to be in that. Like, you don't have to keep being in that, because there are very tangible, practical things you can do to stop being a procrastinator, to stop being someone who always feels overwhelmed, and to stop burning out. So for example, on the burnout front, I used to burn out all the time. Like, definitely when I was a uni student, every semester I burned out without fail. It was just this whole cycle that I would leave things until the last minute because that was when I worked best. And then I would do this whole last minute rush. I'd do an all-nighter and all of that. And then I would just be so burnt out that I would be a zombie for about a week. And then it would be this whole cycle. And I did well at uni. And so it just kind of reinforced it. And then I took that mentality into business. even though school and business are very different, and the same mindset that works in school, even though it doesn't really work because you burn out and all that stuff, it works in the sense of results. It doesn't work in business. And this is something, if you did well at school, you have to be super mindful of, that just because leaving things until the last minute worked for you as a student, it's not going to work for you in your business, and it's not going to be sustainable. And even if it does work, it's only going to help you achieve results that are already within your reach and not new results. So I haven't burned out now for, I would say, about 3 years at this point. And it was like part of my identity to be burned out. So it is possible to change that. And you can learn how to actually get yourself out of procrastination, overwhelm, and burnout. And having a tool like power planning is going to actually call your attention to that and help you see how you might be creating that and what you need to change to get out of it. So that's why I'm such a big believer in planning in your calendar, because things can hide in our to-do list that we don't really notice. But when you are planning in a calendar and you are following that planning, that power planning method, and doing your weekly review, you are going to see when you're self-sabotaging, which is going to make it so much easier to get out of it. But when you are working from a to-do list and doing what you feel like doing all the time and all that kind of thing, it's very challenging to catch self-sabotage and to catch yourself getting in your own way. And if you can't catch it, how are you meant to change it? So then we have the third stage, which is working on persistence. So you have the proper plans in place. You're no longer procrastinating, feeling overwhelmed, burning out, and you're working on those things. So then there is persistence. So this is broken down into three things. That is self-trust, self-image, and self-confidence. So self-trust is your ability to feel your feelings, make decisions, have your own back on that, and to actually, like, it's such an important part of follow through, because if you don't trust yourself, how are you meant to follow through? Because what will happen is when you make your plans, you're like, well, I kind of know I'm not going to follow through on these anyway. So I can kind of make these crazy plans and feel good, like I'm going to have this really productive week, because I really know I'm not going to do it anyway. So I may as well at least feel productive now when I'm in the planning stage of things. So we need to really work on your self-trust intentionally so that you have a really solid relationship with yourself. And then when it comes to goal setting and planning, you're able to adjust and you're able to adapt. And when you're working towards your goal, you are going to come up against obstacles and setback and failure. And you're able to actually support yourself through that and be compassionate with yourself instead of just falling off the wagon and spending weeks, if not months, in devastation and despair. Then we have self-image. I'm so passionate about self-image. Self-image is the beliefs you have about yourself, the story you tell about yourself to yourself. It's how you finish a sentence. I'm the kind of person who, those kinds of sentences make up our self-image, our self-concept, our identity. And you need to have that be in alignment with someone who follows through, who shows up, who does the work that you do, so that you're not feeling like an imposter, so that you're not sabotaging yourself. So for example, if you have the identity of a procrastinator, even if you have the proper plans, and even if you've learned how to stop procrastinating, you will keep procrastinating because you believe you're a procrastinator. You will be pulled back towards that behavior because we always want to act in accordance with who we believe we are. So to have the work you do actually be something that you can sustain and maintain, you need to have your self-image in alignment with who you want to be. And there's some very intentional, practical work you can do to have your self-image be in alignment, even when you're still procrastinating. So as you are learning how to stop procrastinating, you can get your self-image to the point where you think, I'm someone who does things at the first opportunity, and this is weird that I'm procrastinating right now. And really leaning into that will pull you towards doing things when the time comes and pull you away from procrastination. Now, I still procrastinate every now and again. I'm definitely not perfect at that, but I used to procrastinate on things for months, if not years. it's just day and night. And so this is as well the all or nothing mindset. You don't have to be completely out of your own way, to be completely out of overwhelm and out of procrastination, out of burnout, to be able to experience the benefits in your life. Even just changing that a little bit is going to have a dramatic impact on your day-to-day life and experience. And because I want to wrap this up really soon, because I want to keep this under 20 minutes, the third part of persistence is self-confidence. And this is your ability to believe that you can do new things and you can be resourceful and figure things out as you go. This is super important in business and also when it comes to following through, because when you are looking at your calendar as you're going to business, like once you've mastered something, you're on to the next thing. You're always learning and growing and doing new things. And so if you don't believe you're capable of doing things you've never done before and figuring things out, it's going to be very hard to follow through with your plans, because when you get to that task on your calendar, you're going to be like, oh, well, I've never done that before. I don't know how long it's going to take and all these different things. So I can't actually do that. And that really stops us from actually being able to follow through consistently. So that's just a little bit of an overview of what you need to be working on if you want to follow through with your plans. And this is especially important, as I said at the beginning. My people are people who are smart and intelligent and know what they need to do. So you've consumed a lot of free content, you know, different marketing things, like there's still a lot of things you don't know and you feel confused about. But there are a lot of things you do know and that you do know you need to be doing, and yet you can't get yourself to do them. That's a follow through problem. And that follow through problem is caused by a planning problem and you just not knowing how to plan in a way that actually works for a perfectionist. And anyone can learn how to do that. So I hope that helps and just gives you a bit of an overview about how to actually follow through with your plans and what you need to be working on. We work on all of that within PGSD. And by the way, if you are not on the wait list, make sure you get on it. The link is in my bio for PGSD and learn all of this in detail, get coaching, get support, and really be committed and invested in putting into practice all the things you already know. That's what I really help people do, is turn their intellectual knowledge into them actually doing the thing. So there might be a lot right now you intellectually know about business, and how you can tell this, I'm just going to wrap up on this point, but how you can tell this is if a friend asks you what to do in their business, so they have the same business as you would be able to say all the things. Like, you know a lot. You would say, hey, you need to do this and then that and then that. But when it comes to yourself, you're not doing those things. And so that's when you really need to be focused on follow through and planning. And yeah, there's a lot of other elements to this that I haven't had time to go into today. But as I said, I hope this just gives you a little overview of the true work that needs to be done. Because if you are just focused on staying motivated and having more willpower, plus, especially when you're not planning in a way that works for perfectionists, but if your follow through strategy is currently motivation and willpower and, you know, liking inspiring quotes, listening to podcast episodes and that kind of thing, that's not going to have you actually reach your full potential in your business and have you helping as many people as you can possibly help and having that fulfilling, profitable business that you are working towards. So yeah, this is what I help people do. And I hope this has been helpful for you. I will also be sharing this on IGTV if you want to come back and rewatch, but I will be doing a follow-up Q&A next week, because there are so many questions that I have been getting about follow through that I want to answer specifically. A lot of them are like, okay, so what do I do if I'm already behind in my plans? Like, how do I follow through on that? Different things like that. So I'm going to answer those next week. Renee said, how long until you realized you had a follow through issue? For me, it took quite a few years. I thought I had a motivation issue initially, and I was just trying to sit like, all I'm sharing today is like, it's all from experience myself first and then helping a lot of clients with it. But I first thought I had a motivation problem. And I spent a lot of time trying to stay motivated. I used to write on my blog, like my struggle with motivation, how to stay motivated, and all the things I was doing to try and stay motivated. And then I had the pieces click together about perfectionism through people like Brene Brown and Carol Dweck. And then I really started to see once I was able to do that, then I was able to start getting out of my own way. Then I started getting more intellectual knowledge. So for example, I signed up for a marketing course to help me grow my business. And I realized that it didn't address the follow through problem that I had. And that's when I started working with coaches to help me with the mindset side. And then I developed my whole process for actually following through over the following 5 years that's been since then. So it took a lot of time, which is why I am so passionate about sharing it, because the sooner you can realize that your follow through problem, that's what it is, and that to solve that follow through problem, you just need to learn how to plan effectively. And that's probably going to look a little bit different to what you had thought. It's not going to be an endless to do list. It is going to take a bit of work as well to learn how to do that. But if you can learn how to plan properly and really get your perfectionist mindset on your side, it's kind of like this domino that sorts a whole lot of other things out. So yeah, that's a great question, but it took me years to realize that I had a follow through problem and to figure out how to solve for that. So I'm going to wrap this up here, but thank you so much, guys, for being here live. And I will be going live next week to chat more about follow through and answer your questions. So I'm going to put a poll up or a little question box on stories, and you can ask your questions there or be here live and I will answer them live. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon. So that is a complete overview of the PGSD process, which is the process for getting out of your own way in your business. Now, I do want to mention that with the PGSD process, how it works is that you will, for the first 3 months, be making that 3-month commitment to planning properly and focused only on the first phase, which is planning. So you'll be setting your impossible goal, which we will review. You will be using power planning to pursue your impossible goal, and you will be incorporating clean rest. So you will just focus on those modules in the PGSD process and doing that work. And then once that 3 months of imperfectly showing up and being in that growth mindset, giving it a go, once you have completed that 3 months, you will then come back to the PGSD process and you will choose one topic to focus on whilst you are continuing to pursue your impossible goal and do your power planning. So those different topics that have been mentioned already are overcoming overwhelm, beating procrastination, stopping burnout, building self-trust, working on up-leveling your self-image, and creating self-confidence. So you will choose just one of those to have as a focus while you are going about your goal and going about your power planning. So it's not that you will, sign up for PGSD and then work through all the 10 modules week by week and just kind of go through it as if it's a course. And I think a lot of times when we do things in that way, we can get into that procrasti-learning kind of mindset where we think, okay, I just have to learn all the things and do all the workbooks, and then I will start applying it. And especially when we have other things going on in our life, or when we have previously been in a habit of being a bit all or nothing about things, that often we will then, do the first few and then fall off the wagon and never really complete it and never actually get to the application side. So that's why we have you do the first module, which is on perfectionism, module 0. And then the first 3 modules, that's all you need to do in the first 3 months. And they're just an hour each with a workbook. And then you are practicing what you have learned. You are getting coaching, you are getting support, you are posting in your persistence log with your weekly review. So that is what it looks like to put that into practice. And again, each quarter you then just kind of choosing a theme from the remaining modules in the PGSE process, the remaining things you will need to focus on. And this is why you get lifetime access to PGSE, so that you can do this work in a way that actually has a lasting impact and creates true change. It's not just about learning more stuff. It's about doing. It is about taking action. It is about doing things when you feel scared to do them and navigating the inevitable ups and downs and all of those different things. So I want to share a bit more about PGSD, invite you to join us, make sure that you are ready to do that and you have everything that you need. And I want to let you know, so what you get inside PGSD, what will change in your business, and what this is going to look like, a few months down the track, and then also the investment and how to sign up, and also a bit about who it is for and who PGSD is not for. So let's actually get started with that, with who PGSD is for. So it's for you if you are ready to do the deep work on your perfectionism and you're prepared for that to be uncomfortable. So you maybe have done personal development before and you are familiar with the fact that doing this work brings up work for you to do, that it's not just, reading things or watching videos and listening to things and feeling inspired and your life magically changes. Like, there's work involved. It's also for people who are willing to commit to making that 3-month commitment with planning properly. And it's very important, and that will involve setting the impossible goal and also working from a digital calendar using the power planning method. I've already talked about that in the series, so won't go into that anymore in this episode. PGSD is also for you if you know that hearing others getting coached can be just as impactful as getting coached yourself, if not more. So you are able to, like, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that you will find that to be true if you've never heard other people getting coached. But you are not needing to get coached every week personally, that you are, and so many of our most successful PGSD, like covered to PGSD, having had one-on-one coaches before and that kind of thing, and really just see the benefit of being in the group scenario. And this is why I started PGSD, because when I was doing one-on-one, we were having the same conversations on every call. And I was just like, I wish that this client could have heard the coaching I gave to my last client. And then with her, we could have taken it even deeper. And so that is really the benefit of being in a group program, that when you're getting one-on-one coaching, yes, you're getting that, direct attention every week on a coaching call, but you're missing hearing about, the questions that others have and the coaching that they are getting. And also that feeling that you're not alone, because when you're just getting coaching it yourself, it can really feel like, am I the only one going through this? And I should know better. But when you hear dozens of others getting coached on the same things, that alone creates such a sense of relief. And so PGSD is for you if you are open to getting coached and hearing others getting coached, and know how beneficial that is. You're also a full-time or part-time business owner and you're committed to building your business. So there might be some self-image work to do there, that you don't yet feel like you have a real business because you haven't hit a certain milestone yet. And so you kind of think, this is just a hobby. But if you are committed to building your business, then PGSD is going to be for you. Also, you understand the next steps to building your business. You're just not doing them. So a good way to test this is that, if a friend was in the same situation that you're in right now and they said, I don't know what I should do to build my business. Like, I don't know what's next for me, what those next steps are. And you could say, okay, I think you should do this and this and this. You know what you need to do, and you're just not doing it. Sometimes we like to pretend to be confused about what we need to do because we're confused. We don't have to do the scary things, but you know what to do and you're just not able to get yourself to do it. And if you are able to get yourself to do it, you're not able to do that consistently. You might say, for example, be posting on social media, but then you just completely disappear for a month and lose momentum. And you know that you need to be posting, like that's part of your plan that you have, but you're not able to get yourself to do it consistently and to do that without burning out. PGSD is not for you if you're just looking for more information about perfectionism. Like if you want me to tell you all these different things that you've never heard before about it, PGSD is really helping you apply what you have learned from this podcast to your life so that you're actually living it and you're actually getting out of your own way in a significant way. So from the podcast, you've probably gotten out of your own way a little bit with the help of this, but it's really about applying what you know and putting it into practice. It's not just more information. That's procrastinating when we just want more information. We're about doing things. If you're also not ready yet to do the real work on getting out of your own way, then PGSD is not for you. If you just want to keep, listening and dreaming about the future of your business, but you're not ready to actually put yourself out there and get out of your own way and do the things you know you need to do, then it's not going to be a good fit for you, because we are going to get you out of your own way, which means showing up in the world, doing the scary things. And of course, we're going to be there to support you and cheer you on and help you put yourself out there in a way where it doesn't make you shut down and it doesn't create a whole heap of anxiety for you and it doesn't make you burn out. But yeah, PGSD is not for you if you're not ready to get out of your own way. If you are only willing to try power planning for a week or two, PGSD is not for you. You need to make that 3-month commitment. If you don't get value from hearing others getting coached, you need to get personally coached every single week. It's not going to be for you. If you don't have a business and you're not interested in building a business of your own, then PGSD is not for you. We really want to make sure that in PGSD, all of the group coaching is applicable to everyone inside PGSD. And that means that by coaching business owners and entrepreneurs on perfectionism, because business has a way of bringing up perfectionism. And that's how it got brought up for me, that I started this business not knowing I was a perfectionist and was like, oh my goodness, like, why have I got this handbrake on so damn hard? So if you don't have a business and you're not interested in building a business of your own, you could still join PGSD, but you would have to do a lot of extra work to really make all of the coaching applicable to you, because we do talk about business. But PGSD is not for you if you don't know anything about how to build your business and you're looking for marketing strategies. You want to be told what to do, like what day to post on social media or what time, and what to say in your emails and that kind of thing. PGSD is not for you if that's what you want. And I really, I don't think that's probably what you need either. But anyway, that aside, PGSD is really about helping you tap into your own wisdom and resourcefulness and really being able to take what you already understand about marketing and business. So you might not be an expert. You're probably not an expert in it, but you might have taken a, social media or marketing course or something like that, or you listen to podcasts about it. Like, you're familiar with the tools that you could use to build your business. And PGSDs, a lot of them are in a marketing course or things like that alongside being in PGSD. They use PGSD to help them actually apply what they're learning in the other programs. So it's so synergistic with so many other programs, because it's really going to help you actually do the things you need to do. A lot of marketing programs and things like that, they don't really help with implementation. They kind of talk about things as if you don't have any issues with putting yourself out there, reaching out to others, deciding on the price and all these different things, making decisions even. They just kind of talk about here's what to do. Okay, off you go and do it. So PGSD will help you do the things. And you might have already, signed up for different marketing courses, and you might have been in this, procrastinating and kind of being in this place. And it's totally understandable to be in this situation where you are kind of looking for the solution, the one way to do things so that, everything can just work. And you might have signed up for a few marketing programs and that kind of thing. And PGSD is going to help you actually make those investments work, because you'll be able to get yourself to make a decision about what you need to do and to do the things. So yeah, PGSD is not for you if you're just looking for marketing strategies and tips and hacks and that kind of thing. For sure, your business is going to grow when you join PGSD and you get out of your own way and you're planning properly, but we aren't just handing you these tips and strategies and that kind of thing. So with all of that said, what do you get inside PGSD? What does that look like? So you get on-demand access to the PGSD process. This means that when you sign up, everything is there for you, so you can just binge it right away if that's what you want to do. You can dip in and out of it. And I already mentioned how the first 3 months you're just going to be focusing on the first phase, which is the Impossible Goal, Power Planning, Clean Rest. So you're going to have access to all of that right away. And each module is about 60 minutes. And then there's a workbook, and there's a workbook call that's available as soon as you sign up for you to get help working through the workbook. If that's something you find you have a lot of resistance around doing the workbook and the application side of things, we have a video there for you to walk you through it, and you can do it alongside other PGSDers and do that whenever works for you because it's a replay recording. So you will have on-demand access to everything, and you get lifetime access to PGSD, including the PGSD process as well. So there's no time limit on when you can work through things, and it's really designed for you to come back to it time and time and time again. And every time you go through it and you focus on one different aspect, or you set your next impossible goal and that kind of thing, you're going to develop deeper layers of understanding, deeper layers of self-awareness, and therefore be able to get out of your own way even more and even more. I love that when it comes to the growth mindset and getting out of your own way, it's not all or nothing, that you're either in the growth mindset and out of your own way, or you're in the fixed mindset, the perfectionist mindset, in your own way. It's really this journey, this evolution, and you don't need to get fully out of your own way in order to really create a successful, fulfilling business. Like, I'm still in my own way in a lot of ways, but I am, like, it's day and night how out of my own way I am now compared to when I first started. And so just being in that mindset of like, there's new layers of work to do, especially when your business has a big breakthrough in terms of revenue, which is going to happen when you start getting out of your own way, even just a little bit, then new perfectionism work is going to come up, and then you can come back to the tools time and time again, get the coaching you need, and really have that support to help you continuously do the things you know you need to do as you go and learn marketing strategies and learn different things along the way. So we have live group coaching calls every week, all year round. So you are welcome to request coaching on as many of these calls as you wish. You will also hear other PGSDers getting coached on things that are directly applicable to you and your business, even if you have a different kind of business. And I haven't mentioned that yet, but we have a whole lot of different kind of business owners in PGSD. It's not just coaches like me. We do have coaches. We have e-commerce store owners, artists, writers, graphic designers, photographers, jewelry makers. Like, we have all the different businesses in there, which is so fun. And there's so much you can learn from hearing someone get coached who doesn't have the same kind of business as you, but they're getting coached on their perfectionism and making decisions and that kind of thing, because it's so easy to see the coaching when you're not in and have all your own drama about it. So there's a live group coaching every week, all year round. So this runs continuously. It's not just, the 3 months that you begin with where you are working through that planning phase and the impossible goal, power planning, clean rest. It's continuous so that you're able to get coaching when you need it. Also, there's access to the PGSD private podcast. So if you enjoy listening to podcasts like this one, you're going to love the PGSD private podcast. So this is for call replays. So all of our coaching calls get uploaded to the PGSD private podcast so that it's easy to stay in touch with PGSD, to stay motivated on the go, to listen to it when you're grocery shopping or walking your dog or doing whatever you're doing. You don't have to just always sit at the computer and log in. And we all know how tedious that can be at times when we just don't feel like we have the bandwidth for that. But you're able to have the podcast there for you. You'll automatically get the new call replay recordings. You can also listen back to the calls that you are on, but you'll be able to listen to other PGSDers getting coached. We also have the PGSD process modules on there, and we're actually combining them all into one long episode, so you can just re-listen to it again and again to really get that deep understanding of the process and what you need to do, and just kind of have it like programmed into your subconscious. There's also a few meditations and things like that on the PGSD private podcast for you as well. And you can listen on most podcasting apps to that one. So there's that. I also want to mention as well with the group coaching calls that our most successful PGSDers don't have to have super convenient coaching call times, in the sense that, so we're an international community, we do our best to accommodate a wide range of time zones, but our most successful PGSDers are committed to getting out of their own way. They're invested in themselves, they're invested in their business, and doesn't have to be the perfect time for them in order to get coaching. They're willing to get up early, they're willing to stay up late. They are someone who is really invested in their personal development, They know there are times it's going to be inconvenient, but they need to go out of their own way. And those are the people we see succeed the most inside PGSD, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you have that kind of mindset when it comes to the coaching calls, and you're willing to really take whatever you can from hearing all the other PGSDers getting coached and then submitting to get coached whenever you're feeling stuck or frustrated, or you know what to do and you're just not doing it. And if you're willing to go out of your way to get that coaching, that really just has this ripple effect into every other area of your life. But if you're wanting everything to be convenient, then you're going to be showing up that way in your business, and it's going to be having a negative impact on your business when you need everything to be smooth and everything to just be exactly how you want it to be. We really in PGSD want to have you being resourceful and growth minded and committed. And that includes going out of your own way sometimes if you need to get coaching in an hour that isn't perfectly convenient for you. So I just wanted to mention that as well, because that is something we see consistently with our most successful PGSDers. Some of our most successful PGSDers, we barely even see them on the coaching calls because they are just listening to the podcast, getting the coaching, working on their impossible goal, doing the power planning, and then they come back and get coaching when they need it. But otherwise, they're able to just use the resources in PGSD to show up and do the things and get out of their own way without needing that coaching themselves every single week. So it's personalized support via the PGSD forum so that all of your questions are answered. So we have community managers, and we also have a really beautiful community of perfectionist business owners who are there to encourage you and cheer you on and support you. So every question will get answered. It won't be like, it's in some of these Facebook groups, you kind of post and then no one answers it. So you're like, what's the point of that? And this is embarrassing. We have a forum. It's not a Facebook group. It's a forum. You'll have your persistence log in there that you will post your weekly reviews, and you'll be able to keep yourself accountable and see what everyone else is up to as well if you want to. And you will have every question answered. There's places to ask questions, and you'll never be left wondering, which is something like with this podcast, that you don't get your questions answered and you don't get to have someone point out something you should consider that you haven't considered, or your blind spots, or different things like that. So the PGSD forum is there to support you and also to help you make friends. Like a lot of our PGSDs are introverts and find it challenging in the real world to find people who are interested in personal development and business. And if they do find those people, to actually make friends with them. And so PGSD is really there to help you with that, and to, live into that saying that I love, that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And for a lot of us, especially when we haven't yet made a lot of business friends, it can feel like we're doing this weird thing when it comes to personal development and business, and we don't really know anyone else who's doing it or who's as into it as we are. And that can make us have this kind of shame around it, which stops us from really doing the work and showing up fully and really achieving what we're capable of. So by being in PGSD and listening to the private podcast and being surrounded by PGSDers and what we're all getting up to, that is really going to help you normalize your goals, normalize the possibility of what you want to achieve, and really help you show up and get out of your own way. So for many PGSDers, the very act of signing up for PGSD is transformative. It marks the start of a new chapter. It's a commitment to yourself, your business, and to getting out of your own way, no matter how uncomfortable that may be or how long you've been holding yourself back. And then what will be happening soon enough, once you have signed up for PGSD, you've made that 3-month commitment, you're planning properly as a perfectionist, you're getting the support, you're doing the work, is that you'll be following through with the plans in your calendar, even when the unexpected happens. That doesn't mean that you're suddenly this robot who's just powering through. It means you're able to make plans that support you, that support your business, support every area of your life. You're able to follow through with them. You're able to keep it workable and make changes and do that without feeling bad about it or without falling off the wagon. You're getting more customers more easily. You're making important business decisions without second guessing or overthinking. It's so time consuming to second guess or overthink decisions. so many perfectionists, like the reason they aren't able to get their business to $100,000 a year and beyond that is really coming down to not being able to make decisions and back yourself. And that's why, in the PGSE process, we work on self-trust. Power planning itself and the impossible goal is a tool for self-trust, and that really impacts decision making. So you will be making decisions without second guessing, without overthinking, without someone needing to tell you what to do. You'll be finishing every day feeling accomplished and organized, even when there's more things you need to do. As you already know, in business, there's always more you could be doing. And it can be challenging to feel like I've done enough today, but you will be feeling like that. You'll be feeling like, yes, today was productive. I'm feeling organized. I'm feeling on top of it. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. That doesn't mean everything that you do is going to work, but you are feeling productive, accomplished, organized every day. You're being kind to yourself in a way that makes you more productive, not less. So this is something that I hear quite often, that people have been so hard on themselves. It's like, okay, well, self-compassion, self-love, yada, yada. I am just going to be so kind to myself. And a lot of times when we do that, we do it in a way that isn't really kind to ourselves, because we're kind of just letting ourselves off the hook and not really showing up for who we want to be and what we're capable of achieving. And so you will be able to be kind to yourself in a way that actually makes you more productive, not less. That makes you more connected with yourself, not less. That makes you more successful, not less. And side note, productivity, which we've been talking about with the planning series, is all about what you do in your business hours, not how many business hours you work. So if you've been feeling like, I just need, like, my problem with all of this is I just need more time to work on my business, I really want to invite you to consider that more time isn't going to solve the problem. And that if you get more time, you're probably just going to waste it or feel super stressed because now you have more time and you are wasting it, and you should know better than to do that. And now you're sacrificing other things and you're still not making the most of the time you have. Productivity is really about doing the needle movers. We consider that with power planning. It's one of the steps to identify needle movers. So you're doing the needle movers, you are getting out of your own way, being courageous, being willing to do the scary things, and that takes less time. So you're getting more done of what matters, and it's taking you less time. That's what being productive is about. It's not just about hours worked and doing shit. It's about doing the right shit and doing it in less time, less overthinking, less procrastinating, less overwhelm. So you'll be also posting confidently and consistently on social media, even when friends and family, you can feel their beady little eyes like watching you whenever you're posting. You can see them, watching your stories, and you might at the moment be feeling like, oh my God, like I just can't post because I know this person from high school is going to see it, and what are they going to think? Like, who the hell am I to be doing this? And that whole thing, that won't be a thing for you anymore. You'll be prioritizing clean rest to be able to rest without guilt, and you'll be fully present for your life outside of your business. This is such an important part of getting out of your own way, is to have a life outside of your business and to be able to be engaged with that. Because when we're doing that, it's so much easier to be courageous. When we feel like we are the business, and how successful the business is how successful and worthy we are as people, it's very challenging to do anything new or unfamiliar, because we don't want to find out that we're not good enough. But when you are able to fully develop this life outside of your business and be engaged with it, and then when you're working, you're focused and engaged with that, it's just such a different experience. You'll be sticking to the deadlines you create for yourself, even when you don't have to, even when there's no client or customer demanding that from you. And this is something that, like, a lot of PGSers, when they come to us, they aren't able to stick to their deadlines. And definitely when they had a boss or when they had a professor at university or college saying this is when it's due, they were able to put in that last minute effort and get it done and, get the A or whatever it was. And then when it gets to business, you've got no boss telling you what to do. And when you're the boss, you can say, oh, we'll actually leave that a week later. Or now I've had this other great idea and I'm going to focus on that. But you will be able to stick to the deadlines you create for yourself, even when you don't have to, even when you could push them off. And that alone creates such a different relationship with yourself, and flows over into decisiveness, and flows over into being willing to actually fail, which makes you more likely to succeed. You'll also be doing what matters most, so you make more progress with your business in less time. So I've already spoken about that a bit, but it's really about like when it's perfectionists getting shit done, getting the right shit done, getting it done in less time with less overthinking, less procrastination, less overwhelm, less burnout. And that's really how we are able to incorporate the clean rest and have that be such a priority. It's not about just like hustling to try and achieve this big impossible goal at any expense. It's about setting this impossible goal, which is the first part of planning properly, doing that in a way that's in alignment with your values and what you're here to do and why you started your business in the first place, using power planning to pursue that impossible goal and incorporating clean rest in there, which is part of the power planning process and what we consider in the power hour. That's going to bring up that perfectionism work you need to do. It's going to bring up a whole lot of self-awareness that you can then get coached on those things that have just been lurking there and you've been like, oh, I'm just in my own way, but I don't really know what to start working on, or, all of that kind of thing. Those tools that we cover in the planning phase and that you'll be focusing on in the first 3 months, that's going to bring up the work that you need to do. And then you're going to be able to go in and look at different areas like specifically procrastination or overwhelm or all those different things. And you'll be able to get out of your own way and really do that to the extent that other people, this is what we want to really be aiming for. Not that we want validation, but it's just such a great marker of the work you're doing. If other people in your life start asking you, what have you been doing? Like, what's different about you? And I love that, like when our PGSDers share this, and I remember Daisy, who is one of our community managers in PGSD, and this is now probably a year or so ago that she shared this with me, but she was saying that people in her life started asking like, what's changed? Like something's different about you. Like you're just showing up in such a different way. And that's really what we want to aim for. Again, not because we want this approval and validation, but it's just such great evidence that we're actually living what we know. It might be at the moment that maybe people know that you listen to this kind of stuff, or maybe, you're a closet personal development nerd, or you have a secret business. And I've definitely had both of those things, but they wouldn't know how much you know about business by looking at the results you're creating in your life or the way that you show up. And we really want to have you actually changing the way you show up. And this is what PGSD helps you with, and you will be doing once you're inside PGSD, that you won't be fully out of your own way right away. Again, I'm still not, but you will actually be showing up in such a different way that people are like, what have you been doing? Like, what's your secret? How are you putting yourself out there so much? Like, how has your business made such a big leap, in the last few months or the last year or whatever it is? So yeah, it's just a great measure of, are you actually putting into practice what you are learning? And I love when our PGS is like, I feel like those are my favorite testimonials, when they have people in their life being like, holy shit, what have you been doing? Tell me your secrets. Okay, so that's a bit about what your life will look like once you have signed up for PGSD and you are doing the work, you've made the 3-month commitment, you're getting out of your own way. So let's talk about the investment. So the investment for lifetime access to PGSD and everything that I've shared is one payment of $3,330 US, or 12 payments of $333 US. So we recommend having any conversations you need to have with your partner, your bank, anyone else before the doors open. If you are listening to this after the doors have opened, have those conversations and get yourself inside PGSD. And you can sign up by going to samlaurabrown.com/PGSD. When the doors are open, there will be a sign up now button. You'll click on that, and then you'll just enter your details and payment information. It only takes 2 minutes, and it's 2 minutes that's going to change you and your business forever. So much fun. As I said, like just the act of signing up alone and committing to yourself and your business and taking both of those things seriously, not in a sense that there's like no more fun. Like this work is going to help you have way more fun in your business and your life too. But really getting out of this kind of like hobby mode, I'm kind of like half in, half out, trying, and like if you've been in this mindset of like, I'm going to see how this goes. And if it goes well, then I'll go all in. It's never going to work. You have to go all in. You have to commit. You have to invest, even when you have no guarantee that it's going to pay off. And then you do the work to make it work. That mindset alone just, it makes things so much funner, but it's going to have your business actually reach the potential it has. Because right now you feel like you should be so much further along. And why aren't you further along? And like, you see other businesses and you're like, I could do that and I am doing that. And why is it not working? And why aren't people buying or signing up or all those different things? And so signing up for PTSD, doing this work on your perfectionism, being willing to make that 3-month commitment, being willing for it to be uncomfortable and to actually get out of your own way, like that's just going to pay dividends for years and years and years and years to come. So samlebrown.com/PGSD is where you can sign up. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. I'm at Perfectionism Project, or you can send an email to support@samlaurabrown.com and we'll get back to you with an answer. So that is everything I wanted to share in this episode. I hope you are having a beautiful day and I will talk to you next time. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that episode in the planning series. I want to invite you into Perfectionists Getting Shit Done so you can get out of your own way in your business and get your business off the ground. If you struggle with showing up consistently, if you struggle with procrastination, with overthinking, with burnout, with overwhelm, with having a hard time making decisions, PGSD is for you. We are doing currently our last enrollment for the year. So the doors are closing at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday, the 21st of November. So to join us inside, go to samlaurabrown.com/PGSD today.